basically to decide our process for hiring a new town manager?
Essentially, you've got two basic options. From a simplistic point of view, you can either undertake this process internally, or you can go all or part of it by using a contractual arrangement with an outside source. For your information, we had gotten a quote from an outside source that had contacted the mayor previously, and I've been in contact with him. His firm is also doing the assessments that we're currently doing for the police captains. But let's cover, first of all, what the option would be if we did it internally. If we did it internally, first step would be come up with an advertisement, which we had drafted, and you've got a copy of it. We would forward that to the League of Municipalities, which we had done previously. That's how I got hired here. The League puts that on their website and in the southern cities, which is one of their primary publications. And that website is open internationally. They had my job, as a matter of fact, they had 200 applicants apply for that job, as a result of using the League of Municipalities. After that, we were looking at a calendar to see what kind of time frame, what kind of milestones we would have to look at, and I think that by the 1st of October you could have a closure for this, and you could be well into the initial selection process, which myself and a couple of the board members could do the initial screening, and then get it to the board for your interview process after you've selected a certain number of people as candidates. When I was selected for the job, the board did that interview process in the executive session. So I think it's appropriate that would be how you would do it if you did it internally. Certainly, this is time-consuming, and it would certainly be up to the board how they wanted to address that, if they felt up to going through that process. But it's one that I'm confident we could do internally. We could do the vetting through our police department, and look at some of the background information that can all be done internally. I'll just give you a quick snapshot of the proposal from a typical organization. And this one will be, these people are talented, they've got a good track record. But essentially, we're looking at the cost of doing this, of about a base cost of about $14,700, I believe, plus other costs. You would have to assume all the costs for advertising, all the background investigations, and some of the other testing would be required. I think, to be conservative, if you went to the outside to do this, you would probably pay $20,000. So, other than that, I think those are the two primary options that you could look at. Now, there may be portions of that you could do internally and then have a contractor do on the outside. But I'm confident that the board could probably do this effectively. With the mechanism set up with the League of Municipalities, I think that mechanism is available. You could determine whether you wanted to do it in an internal assessment process as opposed to the traditional interview process, but that's something, again, that you would have to decide that you want to do. So fundamentally, I think we need to make one of two decisions. Do we do it ourselves, or do we hire somebody? If we hire somebody, it'll cost you about $20,000, and I think that's a relatively conservative estimate.
So, and basically, I'm going to go over this one more time. The advertisement we have, I want you to take a look at that, see if we're comfortable with it. Give about 4 weeks for those to come in. That leaves us with November. It shouldn't take but a few days to go over all the applications and weed those down to, I don't know, if we go 6, something like that for interviews.
Very similar to what we did with
similar with complete case position. We get down to about 6. The whole board would be involved in interviewing those 6. We'd line those up, maybe do probably 2 or 3 a day, based on what we can arrange, depending where they live, etc. That would be in closed session. My goal, and this might be optimistic, but I think we have time in November to get that finalized, do those interviews, and hopefully make a decision on the board's choice by the end of the month, because that would give them 90 days, if they choose to use that much, to leave wherever they're at and be here by February 1st. But like Mr. Simpson said, we need to decide, do we want to do it ourselves, or do we want to contract out $14,000 to $20,000? And my personal opinion is, we ran into this a little bit, without a doubt, with the chief of police position, We need to be competitive salary-wise, and to me, that money there could be better spent for salary than having someone else do some of the work that I think we can do. So that's just my opinion. I think we're capable of doing what someone else would do for us. But I need to hear, I guess we start out first, do y'all want to contract out, or do you want to try to take it on and do it ourselves?
I'm agreeing with you, David. I think we can do it. I think money's better spent.
Okay. Elizabeth, you fine with that, doing it ourselves?
Yeah, I thought about it, and I would like us to take the responsibility to go through the applications, and I would be happy to take another application, look at them at night, go through them.
I can't leave, yeah.
They have to be done, they have to be done
You do a group.
in a group, we have to make, because of the security associated with what we ask for in those applications, that information can't get out. I mean, you're asking for.
So you review them here?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay, I can do it. I'll make time somehow.
Okay, Bill, are you comfortable with not contracting?
I am, but let me just give you the advantage of doing the contracting, because the folks who submitted the proposal were the ones who did the assessment centers for the police sergeant, and they're doing the ones for the captain. The advantage to having someone like that do it is there is a fairly large error factor sometimes in personal interviews, about 49%. So there are other standards that these folks kind of bring to the table in terms of psychological profiles, in terms of being able to use other instruments to match up people and with the job, and therefore weed people out who don't make that cut. So that's the advantage of having one of those folks. I mean, I do understand the cost, and I'm not advocating it. I just needed to put that out there so y'all would know, other than just have someone cull through the applications, but that is their expertise. So, but I'm fine with doing it ourselves.
Okay. And I hear what you're saying, they've done a great job with that.
Well, we did it for the police chief.
Yeah.
We can do this.
So, Mr. Simpson, it looks like we're going to do it in-house.
And we can start that process tomorrow. We will submit if the board is agreeable with the actual advertisement, we'll submit that to the League of Municipalities. We also have to submit that to the League of Municipalities for publication in their southern cities by the 1st of September, and it can be read also. So we'll meet those deadlines. And I was thinking about making October 1st with a target of interviewing in the latter part of November. And that'll give you the opportunity to have a manager on board in late January, early February, assuming that they can do that within 90 days. 60 to 90 days is about as quickly to turn around if they're getting notice from another community. I think also, before we enter into that process too, the board needs to determine if you entertain applicants from out of state, how much you're willing to help with their expenses or not willing to help with their expenses, and be right up front with that, because every time we've done this, they've asked that question. And generally speaking, you don't provide those monies until you've been selected to move, and then you agree that the amount that you have to move, but that's entirely up to the board.
Can we not sort of do that as we narrow it down? And
Yes,
just,
sir.
yeah, and we can sort of work our way through that if we decide somebody from Florida and they want moving expenses or, can add to the cost. So the next decision that we need to make is who all wants, like everybody's going to be involved in the interview. That'll be us making that decision. We need to
The
decide.
final interview.
Do what now?
The final.
Yeah, the final interview, but let's say we have 150 applications and we need to narrow those down to, a workable group. I need to know the town, I feel like the town manager should be involved in that. I will volunteer to step aside on that because I think, I'm going to be involved in the interviews, but I need to know who would like to be involved in going through that. And like I say, it'll be a small group, probably two more board
And
members.
it's important that we consistent, same board members be, so we have
At each time.
consistency.
Well, I did it for the police chief, and I'd be willing to do it again.
You guys, two of y'all want to do it?
Something we'll make.
Are y'all comfortable with two of them doing that? That sounds good.
Have the most experience.
That sounds good. And, yeah, Bill's been involved with the police department too, with what they're going through now, so we'll have, both Susan and Bill will be our folks to help out with that.
And do we need to tell Mr. Simpson that we're okay with this advertising?
Everybody's had time to look at it, everyone's comfortable with it? It looks good.
Yeah.
So we've got our advertisement, we know who's going to be participating in getting those numbers down. And I think you said 2 interviews into November, mid-October, right? Like we're going to finish the applications 1st of October, we would try to get
October,
interviews.
then we're gonna go through the screening process, and the notification. So you're, I mean, I think that's really pressing it, trying to get it done by the end of October. I think you should probably target doing your interviews for the first week in November and have somebody selected by November or late November. I mean, we went through this with the police chief, and that process tends to get a little strung out at that point, particularly if you run into difficulties, depending on how many responses we get. If we got 30 responses, you might want to go out and do it again. If we get 200, like we did with the police chief, I mean, that was a sizable undertaking.
Well, let's play it by ear and see, we want to expedite it as much as possible, but we also don't want to rush it, we want to get the right candidate, but we also don't want to have to be out, like, at the best we're doing is February, getting somebody in.
You should target having somebody hired by the end of November, so that they get the holidays with their family, they get the transition notice with their current job, and then they can travel after the holidays.
We'll definitely get someone. Police will do the background search.
That's correct. And then the only other thing we would have to do